right, Gophers survive in Pasadena for their first win at the Rose Bowl Stadium since 1962. This time it just came in a Big Ten conference game against the UCLA Bruins. 21-17, Max Brosmer takes the Gophers down the field. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. No timeouts. Takes them down for a game-winning drive for the second straight week, capping it off with a touchdown to Darius Taylor, his second of the day. Some instant reactions. This was a huge win for the Gophers. A game that they were supposed to win, that they needed to win, that they had to win. When you want to get to that magical 6-win bowl eligibility number, these are the games you need to have. UCLA is the worst team left on the Gophers schedule. Games against Illinois and Rutgers might look a little more winnable after a day like today. And even in 2 weeks when they host Maryland, when they fell to Northwestern on Friday. So those games might look easier, but this is a game you still need to win. It makes things a lot easier if you pick up a game like this. And this is a game that just opens up the season. Last week we talked about how USC, that win, gave the season life. That was a season-changing type of win. Top 15 team at home. Huge win. And then this week against the Bruins, a team that on paper looks like one of the worst teams in the country. But I think we saw today that they're not that bad. They definitely are one of the worst teams in the Big Ten, but they're not one of the worst teams in the country. Deshaun Foster, first-year head coach, he's going to continue to get better, and I think we saw that today. Ethan Garbers looked like a solid quarterback. The Gophers came in with the number 1 ranked pass defense in the country, and Ethan Garbers looked like the best quarterback they faced all year, especially in the first quarter. The Gophers had good adjustments after that. The defense played really solid despite Kerry Brown, Maverick Baranowski both being out pregame, and Jalen Logan-Redding dealing with some stuff, and Anthony Smith was banged up. Aiden Gooseby left the game with an injury, so they're really banged up. And that's why this win, I think, was so big, because now they get the bye week. They can rest up a little bit, host a Maryland team at home that you'll probably be around a 4 to 5 point favorite, maybe all the way up to 6 or 7. But another very winnable game that you'll be favored to win at home. And that's what makes this win so much bigger. Offensively, very impressed with Daniel Jackson. This might have been one of his better games in a Gophers uniform. He's had a lot of tremendous plays. Season opener last year against Nebraska. He had that game-winning touchdown catch. The Michigan game, he had an amazing catch in that game. He just had 2 or 3 today that were just tremendous. One that probably should have been a catch, too. He should have had 11 catches. He had a career-high 10. The Gophers were not getting any favorable calls, kind of a theme of the season, but they overcame that. And I think this game, again, was just the full PJ Fleck experience. These games have become so common under PJ Fleck against opponents like UCLA in the conference, or in recent years, teams like Northwestern. This just reminded me a lot of the Northwestern game last year, just the vibe of went in, everyone was pretty confident, first-year head coach on the road, and it just, the game was way different. The Gophers jumped out to a big lead last year, and then they squandered it, but this one was a little bit different. But nevertheless, a huge win. Max Brosmer impressed me a lot today. He continues to show that any issues that the offense has, I think, are not because of him. He's been making confident throws, especially since the second half of the Iowa game. He looked solid against Michigan. He looked really good against USC, and I think he looked pretty good again this week, especially that last drive. And those are legacy-building drives. This team was never going to win the Big Ten, and they were never going to make the college football playoff. But 8 wins is still on the table for this team. They have winnable games left on the schedule. We saw how USC played Penn State at home. The Gophers, USC's not like this big, bad, like like 2018 Ohio State. Like they're a beatable team. They're ranked 4th in the country, but they're not the 4th best team in the country. The Gophers don't play Oregon or Ohio State. Those teams are in another class. Penn State, very beatable team. And what the point I'm getting at is this Gophers team has plenty to look forward to. You win, you get the bye week, you heal up, and then you get Maryland, and then you get Illinois, and you get Rutgers. Those teams just did not look very good today. So there's a lot to look forward to there. A lot for this team to build off of. There's still a lot to fix. The screen game in the first half, they were far too reliant on it, and UCLA game plan for it, and it looks like they had no answer. The Gophers were like, oh, this isn't working. What are we going to do? And Greg Harbaugh, the Gophers offense coordinator, well, he has struggled at times. I will give him credit. I do think he's improving slowly. It's not dramatic improvements. He doesn't turn into Sean McVay overnight. But I do think there are improvements in this offense every week, every game. He's showing that he can make adjustments, which is something he really didn't show that much last year. This offense made adjustments. And then one other thing before I get going here is Coy Parrish. Once again, 2 interceptions, 4 on the year. He's just I think it's fair to put a once-in-a-generation type player, especially at a program like the Gophers. He's special. And it's really interesting to think what his ceiling is. Is he an All-American guy, a 2-time All-American guy? I mean, he's not going to get it as a freshman, but he has 4 interceptions now in 7 games. He's really only played like 3 or 4 of those, substantial amount of snaps. And I mean, the last 2 were the only 2 that he was like an every down player, and he looked like the best defensive player on the field, essentially. So he is quite the player. I think tonight showed that again. It was a big win for the Gophers. I think it encapsulates PJ Fleck football with the Gophers. The state of college football, that's a whole different discussion, but the Gophers are in a good spot, and this win, I think, showed that. These are the games that PJ Fleck's supposed to win, that raises them over the floor of where like programs like Purdue and Northwestern are, where they can lose to anyone in any week. And the Gophers need to win these games. They did win this game. And now the season's wide open. You got 7-8 wins on the table, a solid bowl game, and it was an all-around stressful game for a Gophers fan, but it was a big win and something they needed to do before the bye week next week. As always, thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe. It helps us get these videos seen and help us grow the channel. Thank you.